just broadly call them general contractors. That's essentially what we are. We general contractors, though, self-perform a lot of work, and we manage all the various trades. So we actually don't perform very much work at all. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but we self-perform some carpentry, some cleanup, general things. But for the most part, we're managers. So we're managers. And sometimes you have this other notion of what a manager is. A manager is someone, in the office or something. And I hope today, if nothing else, you hear me say that our managers, the lion's share of our managers, are out here on these job sites. So I hope you guys don't think that manager means you sit behind a computer. I'm lucky that I figured that out at an early age because I didn't want to sit behind a computer the rest of my life. That's what I do now, but I didn't want to do that. So luckily that led me to the construction industry. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But construction to me is such a rewarding industry. My wife's a banker. She comes home at night, she's talking to me about interest rates and loans, and I'm kind of like, okay, she's got nothing to show for it. No offense, but I get to come home at night and I get to say, I helped build that, physical, tangible thing. I got two little girls. Sometimes we drive down the street, and as we approach one of the jobs I worked on, you can just hear the eye rolls coming from the back of the car, and they're like, Dad, we know that, you helped build that. We know. But it's because I have a great sense of pride associated with it. What other industry, and there's a few, what other industry could you work so hard on something and actually go and physically touch it and feel it? Your fruits of your labor are something you get to see later and touch. It's a big deal. You don't understand how rewarding that is until you've done it. I mean, you probably have worked at your house sometimes and worked really hard on something, and at the end of the day, when you're sipping on some cold water or something, you say, man, I did that today. That's what construction is, in my opinion. It's very rewarding. And of course, I have to say that because I'm in the construction industry, but I sincerely believe it. It is a very rewarding career. We're going to go in a little more depth about what we do. We're going to show you some projects, some sample projects, just so you can kind of see, because we're working on one out here for you guys, but we work all over the state and do all kinds of different types of construction projects. And I hope you come away from this knowing the secret to a successful career, and not just a career for a construction company, and not just a career with us, but really the secret to success, in my humble opinion, in life. And I hate to get kind of philosophical on you guys, but I think it is a good lesson at this junction in your life. I always say there are two things we're not going to teach you, and if you don't have it, you're not going to be very successful. Two things you need: a strong, good work ethic, and number two is being responsible, consistent. We have to show up every morning out here at this job site and make sure the subs are showing up and doing their job. I mean, a guy we used to work with named Ed Baker used to say, that's half your job, showing up and being consistent. And it's like, what an easy thing to do. Show up, show up and work hard. I'm telling you, you don't have to be that talented. You show up and you work hard, you're going to be successful. Do you have a question?
No.
Oh, you're stretching or something. Gotcha. So show up and be consistent. I think if I were to leave you guys with anything today, that would be my biggest message. That's the secret to life. That's the secret to success. That's the secret to being in our upper management one day. I'll leave you another thought, and this is a question. And if I had some more hats, it'd be a perfect hat question.
We'll get somebody.
Okay.
Don't keep names.
Okay, keep names. This is a great question. So I want to hear y'all's thoughts. Michael Jordan. You ever heard of Michael Jordan?
Yes.
Greatest athlete, probably of all time. Maybe I'm a little, again, a little biased. Thank you. Perfect word. Because I grew up watching Michael Jordan, so it was like hero of mine, growing up. Maybe y'all's is LeBron or something. I don't know. Okay. Well, it's older than me then. But Michael Jordan said his greatest attribute. What is Michael Jordan's greatest attribute? It's close, very close. I like that. That's actually what we heard last time, and I think we gave a hat for that. So we'll give the hat to the guy that looks like Austin Ray. Doesn't he look like Austin Ray?
It does look like
We have a guy that works for us. Well, now you don't. With the mask you do. Anyways, he said his greatest attribute was that he was coachable or teachable. You know what I mean? That's a big deal. You know, greatest athlete in the world. He could have gone off and been the greatest athlete in the world probably no matter what. But he said what made him so great was he was teachable. You know, he was a sponge. And I wrote this down because I wanted to make sure I said it verbatim. He said he was a sponge and he was aggressive to learn. You know, so that's kind of what we're asking of you guys is show up, work hard, and be willing to learn and listen. And really, I say we, I think employers look for that. And you'd be surprised how successful you'll be with instituting those simple thoughts. So, I'm going to introduce our speakers here and the rest of the gentlemen that are here with me today. So I'm Stephen Lane, I'm Vice President. Devin introduced me earlier, but I'm the office side of the construction company. We're going to talk about various paths, career paths here in a minute, but I'm the office side of things. I push paper or whatever. I did kind of the cost control and project management stuff is what I do. And this is Byron Smith.
Yeah, I'm Byron Smith. I'm a director of field operations. So, as Stephen said, he's the office side of it. It's a team effort to put a project together. Right? We're doing anywhere puzzles. We're putting puzzles together. That's how I explain it to my kids. Is that we build big puzzles. Is what we do. Except we don't have the pieces already cut, and all we got to do is put them together. We got to figure out what to paint them and how to cut them and make it all fit. Right. I'm a director of field operations. We work all over this state from corner to corner. We work out of state. We've got an office in Dallas, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, and one in Northwest Arkansas. But there's two other guys in the company that do exactly what I do, just to be able to cover the three offices. And then we have Lance Smith, which is a general superintendent with us, and he manages certain projects or projects in a certain area, at the next level, where he can get more time on the project and pay attention to more detail. Lance, you want to add anything about what you do?
No, I just, like you said, I oversee, several different projects in a lot of mines in South Arkansas, and I assist Clayton and Peyton, who's the superintendents on site here, helping them with anything they need. Just another set of eyes really to help them make sure the job's successful.
Okay. And then we've got Nick Smith, and Nick Smith is a project administrator. You want to tell them about your role, how you got there?
So you hear them say you got the field side and then the office side. I'm kind of that perfect middle. So I went to school. I actually started at Louisiana Tech and then finished up here at Euler in Little Rock and studied construction management. And when I hired on at Clark, I started out in the field, but I was doing office work, and that office work consists of gathering up a bunch of information on the project. So, for
Hey,
example,
Nick,
this room.
can you sit right here?
I'm sorry.
No, come on over here. She's live streaming. I think they want to see your pretty face.
Oh, yes. So, this room, for example, every piece of material you see, from the block walls to the floors to the brick to the ceiling, has information on it, and that information was selected by someone, by the architect, by the engineers, by the people designing the project. It is my job to then step into that next role and gather that information and ensure that the design team, the architect and engineers, to let them know that we do plan on using the correct material. So I, one, have to review it, and then two, send it on to them to let them know that we have the correct stuff. And then when I receive that back with the stamp of approval from the architects and engineers, let me know that we like what you plan on using, I then can release our subcontractors, the people ordering it, to start gathering it and then help oversee and make sure that they continue to use the correct products.
Perfect.
That's right. So all that to say, Nick is involved from the very front end of the job to, I don't know, we didn't say this earlier, but you guys have bought something new that comes with a warranty, right? Let's say we buy whatever, AirPods or whatever, and it's got a warranty card, right? So you gotta fill that out, you gotta turn it in. Well, owners want that. They want warranties on their different products. So somebody gets to fill out all those warranty cards and make sure that they're put together and turned in at the last day on the job. So again, Nick is looking at all the way from our soils report when we're getting out of the dirt and making sure that the soil specs are meeting the contract documents, all the way through the warranties on the very end of the project. Okay?
Nick does a great job. Vitally important. He is what I call our communication hub on the job site. So sometimes you look at these job sites, so the architects and engineers are mostly from Little Rock. If there's a Nick on the job, which hopefully we'll meet him as we're walking around a little later, his name's Jacob Chapman, or PJ Mann. So their job is to take all the information they get from the field. Sometimes I call it raw, unfiltered data, and they have to kind of filter and refine it a little bit.
But I just wanted to point out that there's spots out there in the field that, and our industry is needing people. There's an opportunity there on the field side of construction.
Did y'all know that? Did you know that superintendents out there working a job site in the construction industry are making six figures? Raise your hand if you knew that.
Do y'all know what
You knew
six
that?
figures is?
Yes.
That's 100, comma, 00.
It's a big deal.
That's right. Big deal.
So make sure you guys knew, because, I mean, their job's hard. I mean, we're not here to sugarcoat anything to you guys. That job's hard, but it pays, you know, and there's a path to that. Just real quick, just real brief. I probably should have moved this slide before Byron, but just want to tell you guys that this is what our executive management team looks like. You have the owners of our company kind of highlighted there in yellow: William Clark, Shannon Earls, CEO and president, respectively. And then you have Byron somewhere on that chart. But basically, it's really a blend of field and office. It's a pretty even blend. And one cool thing about our company, 22 years working together. Byron and I actually bring that average down a little bit. But the reason why I think that statistic is so important is because we've kind of grown up together. You know, we're friends. We're family. You know, I don't want to let these guys down. I've worked with them for so long. I feel like I show up every day and work hard every single day to make sure I got my partner here in the field. And I think you get that from that chemistry of working together for so long. We're looking for people to make careers out of working, and I think a lot of construction companies are that way. We want a career-minded person. We don't want someone that's looking to, you know, be this place for a couple of years and this place for a couple of years. We want lifers. You know, 22 years working together on average. I mean, that's a big statistic, and it's really important to us.
A little bit about our company, and I think before we talked about, you know, when Lance and I especially started in the construction industry with the late 90s. In the late 90s, construction was booming. I mean, it was busy. And what we're seeing here, you can tell on this graph that we got a 29% increase since 2019, which is through the pandemic and all the hard times. You know, you think about everything shutting down, construction didn't shut down. We're busy as ever. We've had record years for the last 5 plus 6, maybe even, I don't know, a long time, as long as I can remember. 5, 6, 7 years. We're trending up. It's not a curve, it's a ramp. And that's what we're seeing in the industry. All that to say, there's careers out there. If it's not with the general contractor, it's with a trade. Trades are hurting right now, needing some help. They're busier than ever. And another thing, if you look at this graph over here, everyone sees us on campus building a school, right? But that's about a fourth of what we do. We're in the hotels, we're in the healthcare, whether it be clinics or hospitals. We took a big jump last year on some commercial work, but we're pretty diversified. I mean, you break it down to those 4 sectors, and it's pretty even. All that to say, we wanted to show everyone that the industry is still climbing. I mean, who knows what that's going to be if we continue to grow, if the industry continues to stay busy. Who knows what 29%, you know, in the next 3 years is going to look like. So there's opportunities out there. There's career paths out there in the construction.
Yeah. Like the old signs used to see on billboards or something. We are hiring.
That's
You
right.
know, we are actively looking or recruiting. And a lot of trades, like Byron mentioned, other construction companies are. It is a terrific industry to get into because, again, this happened during the pandemic. You know, growth. Who else can say that other than Amazon or Walmart or something, you know? So we're very fortunate, and it's not lost on us how blessed we are, and we're very proud of that statistic. Proud to say we're looking. I'm gonna give you guys a little flavor, you know, what we're doing. Some of the job sites you might have seen, maybe not have seen, but we'll tell you a little bit about it. Byron mentioned earlier, we're in the healthcare sector. About a quarter of our revenue is in the healthcare sector. So just wanted to tell you about some of those jobs and tell you about some of the other sectors we're in too. This is the Carti Cancer Treatment Facility, just finished, Pine Bluff. It's off of Interstate 530. It is a full cancer treatment facility. Cancer patients go there to get diagnosed. They see their oncologist there. They will then either go and get an infusion treatment where they sit in a chair for 6-7 hours getting cancer treatment. Incredibly sad, but it's a blessing to do a project like this and know that you're helping people in a community that may need help. They also can receive radiation treatment there. So it is a full-service cancer treatment facility. It also houses a linear accelerator. Byron talked about that earlier. It's such a precise piece of equipment, $2 million piece of equipment that zaps tumors that we had to build 5-foot concrete thick walls around it. We talked about this earlier. Talk about just a quick illustration of what we do on a job site. Lance was out there on that job for a period of time, and 5-foot thick walls. And you think about what kind of infrastructure is needed to operate that kind of equipment, from a cooling capacity, from a power capacity, you know, you name it. And so there had to be a lot of penetrations. And Lance, what would happen if you missed one of those penetrations? 5-foot thick concrete wall.
Well, number one, radiation goes straight out, so everything penetrating the vault has got to go through at a 45-degree angle to keep radiation from leaking. So that multiplies the issue. That's not as
true.
simple as core drilling 8-inch floor, 8-inch
Yeah.
wall.
Good
You've got
point.
a problem. So, and that's one reason why the salaries in the construction business is good, because there's a whole lot of responsibility and coordination in it. So.
Yeah. And you know, that's precisely why we're on a job site, is to help, you know, divert those big uh-ohs, you know. That kind of uh-oh could be a $100,000 uh-oh. You know what I mean? So superintendent can pay for themselves pretty quick by helping coordinate and orchestrate all those really complex things that need to come together on a job site. You know, you look at a job site sometimes, and I don't know what some people think, you know, since I'm in the industry, I'm not really sure, but I know that there's a lot of coordination, a lot of efforts, probably a lot of sleepless nights thinking about what you got to do to make sure all that comes together well orchestrated. It doesn't just happen. It's very purposeful, and our guys do a great job of making sure that things go off well. Just to break it up, just so you guys don't fall asleep, got another hat question. Arkansas versus Auburn basketball game. Anybody watched that game the other night? Man, it was a great game. Anybody know the final score?
80-76.
That's it. All right, young man right there, get a hat. I don't have any more hats with us.
What's
but
your name? Isaac Green? Richie. Y'all got it?
Yeah. We got some nice hats, just like Byron is sporting right there. He's Vanna White today.
Yep, somebody forgot the extra box of hats. We will get them to you.
That was a fun game, wasn't it? My goodness.
All right, so Stephen talked about car tie. This is another school project that we just started at the first of the year for Little Rock School District. Pretty big campus. It's actually had an old depleted school there that's been there several years. And the district decided to take it down and to put a new school back. And we're taking out that, it's 180,000 square feet is what the existing building is, and we're leveling it down to the dirt. And then coming back with this new 240,000 square foot K8. I think there's over 1,000 tons of steel in that one building. So it's got a lot of steel in it. Big
1,000 tons.
massive footprint, competition gym, classroom wings on one side. Be a really nice project.
This is Arkansas Heart Hospital. They call it Encore in Bryan, Arkansas. We just finished this last year. This is a really interesting project, probably my favorite project because I worked on it. Greenfield Hospital, Byron also worked on it. So did Nick. Greenfield Hospital, it's not every day in this state you do a totally greenfield site, but
Yeah,
sometimes I forget.
what's a greenfield
Well, it's a greenfield, yeah. So Greenfield it literally was an old, it actually was an old dump site, but anyways, what was there before we started was nothing, pastures or whatever. Like I said, it was actually a dump site, but that's okay. We had to remove all that, about 10,000 cubic yards of debris to remove, which sucked. But anyways, part of it sometimes. Nothing there before. Now there's a hospital there with 53 patient rooms, treating, the sickest of the sick. People are getting open heart surgeries there. It's actually a bariatric center of excellence. So you talk about taking pride in your work, knowing that you're healing the community. I mean, what a cool thing to go home and think that you helped put something together that's helping heal the community. So it's 110,000 square foot new Greenfield Hospital, bariatric center of excellence. Terrific hospital project. As you're going down the I-30 corridor, can't miss it. Don't know if you guys have seen it. Bryant Benton line there. This is the Haywood. We said earlier we did a little hospitality. This is in El Dorado, Union County. Last 7 years, we've done $90 million worth of work in Union County. I wanted to bring that up to let you guys know we do a lot of work in small towns too. It's not just Little Rock or Northwest Arkansas or Dallas. We've done $90 million worth of work in El Dorado the last 7 years. This is just one sample of that. We've also done Murphy Oil's headquarters. I don't know if you've seen Murphy Oil's building, Murphy USA, Mystic Creek Clubhouse. So we've been busy in Union County. But this is what they call a boutique hotel, meaning they don't have a specific flag on there, a Marriott flag or a Hilton flag. It's kind of its own kind of hotel. Finished this, I guess, 2 years ago. All right, real quick. I want to ask this one again, another hat question. What was Michael Jordan's greatest attribute?
Just ability to be taught.
That's it. Yeah, there you go. Teachable. That's it. What's your name?
James Wells.
James Wells. James Wells needs a hat. We'll get you a hat.
Write me down, work ethic Wells.
He's a class clown too, isn't he?
No.
I think he's just about earned all of the certifications, and so he just wants to let us know that he has the work ethic.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Talked
good.
about that. I like that.
Good for you, man.
Good for you.
He
Yeah.
reminds us daily.
Well, good. We thought it'd be fun to kind of, put some videos and stuff in here. You can kind of see how we build these things in real time. This is a bank headquarters we did, and lots of music.
So it's 18-month project. It's condensed down to about 30 seconds. So you'll have to watch. If you blink, you miss it.
See the foundations going in. You see a foundation wall right there because the terrain had a slope to it, so they put a foundation wall in. You see the red iron steel going up. Then you'll start to see skin clad in the exterior. And then you see some veneer on top of the framing and sheathing, air and water barrier, curtain wall, skin, sign. That's it. That's it. It's real time.
Any questions? No. Really, is there any questions here on this slide? Okay.
That was done with a camera. We like to put cameras on our job sites. We do it probably on half our job sites. Is there a camera on there? Is there a camera on this one? I'm not even sure. Yeah, it's too spread out. But anyways, ones that are really condensed like this, we like to put a camera on it, or a lot of owners do, so they could just, from the comfort of their office, they could just pull up their computer and kind of see what's going on. And you can do a time-lapse video at any time. So we like to put cameras on a job site and kind of monitor the progress of a job site. It's really, really handy. We're going to talk about a little more technology, but that's just one of many facets of the technologies that we're doing. I'm going to show you a little bit of your school. I gave the other group a hard time, and I don't know if they liked it or not. Me giving them a hard time, but not being able to enjoy this because you guys are juniors or seniors, you may not get to, enjoy this as much as you'd like, but hopefully you get to come back and enjoy it, and your nephews or brothers or sisters are playing in this arena.
Kids.
Kids, perfect. They didn't build anything new at my school until just a couple of years ago, so you guys are pretty fortunate. Anyways, these are renderings of what we're working on, and Byron mentioned this earlier too. We're going to walk the job site a little later, which is the fun part of this job. And it'd be great for you to have a mental image of this as you walk, so that way as you're
Can,
looking and seeing.
can you all look at this and tell where this picture, this vision would be from?
Yep.
So when we get out there earlier, you can kind of relate to envision what it's going to look like when it gets put up, right? When it gets finished. So when you get out there, we're just going to have the slab poured. We're just going to have some CMU walls going up, and it's going to be at the ground level. But you'll be able to walk in and go to that next slide, Stephen. Go to the front door or go out to the middle of the court. So we'll be able to identify that we're standing in the center
CMU
court.
walls.
Yeah, we'll be able to stand in the center court and look around and
Dribble basketball.
yeah,
No, just joking.
just visualize that that's what it's going to look like when it gets finished. It puts it in perspective. It puts it in perspective how much has to go into that project and how important it is for everyone out there to do their part to get it to there. Because a year from now, people in the stands, people playing on court, and we're gonna go out there and it's just a concrete slab.
Yeah. These guys are a lot smarter than me. They can take, native ground and visualize in their head, the schedule. When they put together a schedule, I mean, sometimes we don't tip our hat enough to these guys that put together schedules that they can see. I don't even know how you do it. It's like playing a movie in your head. They can see every activity, especially critical path activity of how it's gonna lay out. So it's quite an art. But you don't just learn that overnight, did you? There's another perspective of your school. Yeah. You can probably see that in the layout that we'll show you here in a minute. So I don't know if you guys have seen these images or not. Just wanted to make sure that you guys had seen them. Talked a little bit about our technologies. Nick actually brought a drone with him. It's in that black box.
Talking about the drones, we're fixing to watch this little video, but coming this being the elementary building, you can tell how it makes a starfish shape, right? You see the footings, and if we make it that far on our walk, you can kind of tell where you're at on that job, and those are the foundations. That's what's holding the whole building up, right? Foundations, which are the ditches or footings that we've dug into the dirt. So all that to say, we take our drone program, we track our construction progress, keeping it updated. We try to fly a drone once a week if we can, especially if we're moving on a project. If it's kind of stagnant or we're in that lull, we may wait a week or two. But what the drones and we do a 360 camera. I don't know, has anybody heard of a 360 camera? Okay. So the 360 cameras, we can put the camera in the middle of this room and it'll take an image of the whole room. I think they say it's like taking 11 to 20 pictures and marry them together, right? So we can take that and we can track job site progress. We can do like nearly an X-ray vision through the walls. If you take a picture with all of your walls framed, just the bones of the wall, with your electrical rough in where it goes, your light switches, your plumbing, take a picture then, come back months later when you get sheetrock on your walls and take another picture. You can see like an X-ray of that wall to tell where all of your different components are at in that wall. The drones, we take a drone, we fly them. We actually have a drone program that'll build a three-dimensional model just from flying. So it'll take one flight and it'll marry 400 pictures together and create a three-dimensional image or model of every project that we have going. And we can take that, and once the building starts to come out of the ground and get some shape and some depth to it, it'll start creating that model, and we use that to track progress. We can overlay drawings in that program and check curve locations, our layout, make sure our footings and foundations are in the right spot. The drone program and the technology side of everything has come a long way. And backing up to the pandemic, in our chart we looked at where the work's going up and everybody's trying to stay home and isolate. We were actually able to do entire projects without an architect coming on site or without an inspector coming on site, because we can take what we're doing and do it virtually or do it
Yeah.
electronically and keep it. So there's a need there. It's actually created another position, you know, on the field side of having someone that can run that equipment and handle that technology side of it.
Very good. You know, we've been kind of hinting at this for a while, but we thought we'd spend a little time on this because I think it's vitally important. Again, that's why he and I are both here in parallel today. Talk about the two different paths that we've taken, two different paths that you all are going to be faced with here really soon, is a college path, and then come to work for us, or a non-college path, then come to work for us. So you don't have to come work for us, but anyways, there really are two paths, and you can be successful in either path, you know. So that's the reason why both of us are here, because I'm representative of that college path, and Byron's representative of that non-college path. And now we're peers. Ironically, we're the same age. It's another hack question: who's older, me or Byron?
So you're the same age.
Oh, did I say that earlier?
Yeah.
I just said it.
Yeah, but who's older?
Yeah, who's older?
That's right. He needs a hat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious, isn't it?
It's very obvious.
It's very obvious. So my path was, I went to Whitehall, which is just outside of Pine Bluff. We used to play you guys in football. Not sure we ever beat Warren when I was playing football. I'm not bitter about it anymore. Still think about it occasionally, but I'm not bitter. But went to Whitehall, graduated Whitehall in '99, went to school at Louisiana Tech, which is in Ruston, Louisiana, and started in civil engineering. And I ended up really liking the tangible physical components of the construction stuff we're talking about. So I ended up navigating more towards, they call it construction engineering technology, but really it's a construction management type program. Graduated with that in '04, early '04. And then going to work for a company based out of Little Rock. Started as a project administrator, just like Nick was talking about earlier. And was fortunate enough to be put on a $200 million hospital campus expansion at UAMS, where, of course, I crossed paths with Byron. And the similarities of the path, even though two totally different paths, you know, again, we ended up in the same spot, you know, in our careers. And we actually ended up working together at UAMS. And tell them about your path, Byron.
Yeah, so I started working early on. I told the other group that my dad was a construction superintendent. So, and his hobbies were, when he got off work, he wanted to work some more. So he really liked working. So he thought that anytime I got a break from when I was old, from 16 on, he thought I should be on a job site when I went to school. So spring break was working, Christmas break was working, summer break was working. But so what that done though is that taught me it was a two-edged sword. You know, I got started early in commercial construction, whether I wanted to be there or not. But that turned into, I graduated high school. I thought I would try college. I went to ASU for a semester at BB. Just wasn't for me, that, and ended up getting married at an early age and having a baby. And what that taught me right then at that minute was self-discipline. And that's something that Stephen said, that if you take that, you know, responsibility, consistency, work ethic, you know, that takes you to be, that takes a level of self-discipline, whether we're doing one paper or playing a football game, practicing, whatever it is. Get that level of self-discipline up. Examine yourself. Get where you need to be on time. Being on time takes no talent.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets into that consistency, right? If someone, you may be the best at what you do, but if you're not there to do it,
Right.
it don't get done, right? So all that to say, I come up working. I started as a laborer when I was 18, and minimum wage, and worked my way up to a carpenter helper, which is the next level, and then went from a carpenter helper to getting into carpenter work, where we were hanging doors and doing mill work and that sort of thing, and then I actually went into a field engineer helper. And there's another layer there on our field side that we use, like Nick talked about, how he touches every piece of a project, right? If we were going to build this room out, someone has to touch every piece, all the pieces you can't see above the ceiling, you can't see the roof, all the way down to the dirt below us. That field engineer, from the field side of what Nick does, makes sure that we're pouring our footings in the right place, right? That we're getting the foundation in the right place, that column right there will have a set of anchor bolts under the concrete you can't see. And if those anchor bolts aren't in the right place, that column won't sit there. So our field engineer is checking all the layout for every material on the job. And I think right now we have 3 field engineers that work for us that move around from jobs to jobs and check layout. And they're all raised up from a labor, from I'm going to say the non-college path. And those guys eventually grow up into an assistant superintendent like I did. And when I say grow up, they move up to an assistant superintendent because they get to see every aspect of that and every phase of that project, right? So you're seeing it, you're working up, and as you accumulate that knowledge and that experience, you can't train experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So as they get the experience and they have the work ethic and the self-discipline to do their job and consistency, they move up to the next level. And that's what I done. I went from field engineer to superintendent, general superintendent, and director of field operations. So that's what the last, 21, 22 years has looked like.
Yeah, that's great. So again, point of this message is lots of opportunities. We're going to go on a tour a little later. Superintendent out there actually has a college degree. He actually has 2 college degrees. They actually went into the finance degree department at UCA, and kind of my wife, banker, he's like, I don't want to do banking the rest of my life. I want to do something tangible, rewarding. So he ended up going back to school and got a construction management degree. Then he turned around and he decided to go the path of being a superintendent because he loved it, which is great. That's what we're looking for. Byron talked about that ratio earlier. We're looking for good, talented field people. That's what we're in higher demand of. But I think the point of all of this, though, is there are different ways of arriving at the same conclusion, and I don't think there's any wrong answer, a right answer. It's just your answer. What are you passionate about? And that's what you guys are going to be faced with, I think, here pretty soon. So just wanted you to kind of understand what we do and understand that whichever path you pursue, there's a path that leads you to us or the construction industry. And I guess with that, do you have anything else?
We got just a couple minutes, I think. So.
Yeah, turn it over for questions. Y'all got any questions of us?
And don't be shy. I know several of you will ask questions or have questions in just a few minutes.
There's a lot of glass.
It's a learning. There's no stupid questions.
That's right.
There's a lot of glass on those buildings that you're showing us. Do y'all like working with glass, mostly?
Funny you asked that question. When I was a project administrator too, just like Nick's doing, one of my biggest responsibilities, again, I don't know if I mentioned it to you guys or mentioned in a group before, but our responsibility is kind of checking the things that kind of other people aren't checking for. So the glazer is looking specifically about how to put glass into his curtain wall frames, his storefront frames. The steel people are looking at, how to do steel. Concrete people are looking at how to do concrete. But how do those two marry together, And that's something that us project administrators really look at, is how does that curtain wall physically attach to the building? You'd be surprised how often that goes overlooked. I think sometimes when people are drawn to the building, they kind of forget, that's got a structurally anchor to the building, and that gets overlooked frequently. So Nick and I, when we were going through drawings, and superintendents would help with this effort too. It's like, let's make sure we got a piece of red iron there if there's not a slab edge there to anchor to. I think I probably didn't answer your question, but yes, we do like glass buildings, but designers will design the pretty buildings and we'll get it done. But yeah, we love glass buildings.
Yeah.
They can be a little more challenging.
Looks
Sometimes
fancy.
you have to temporarily
Yeah.
seal them up.
It looks fancier that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we like them
Yes.
fancy looking.
It's nuts.
Makes the website make people say, "Oh man, you guys do pretty work," But there is a lot of coordination. And like I said, the most difficult part is if you have great big openings. Sometimes there's lead time issues with glass, or sometimes you don't want to put it in too early because you still have really disruptive, heavy activities going on. But at the same time, you want to seal up the building and you want to get temporary air on. So sometimes you have to put temporary enclosures up, waiting on your glass.
How y'all get glass up that high, like on 3-story buildings?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Lifts and cranes.
Just like trying to be careful not to break it,
Mhm.
lifting it up, somebody setting it up.
Right.
Big suction cup handles and actually place it in the frame with big suction cup handles.
Right.
Sometimes they come off the roof of the stage. Sometimes, well, they still get loaded with a lift a lot of times, or sometimes they from the ground with a lift put it in.
Right.
It's a good question.
Yeah, good question.
Good question.
Y'all ever broke any glass?
Oh yeah.
You know, and a lot of times, what you don't think of is everybody thinks we're gonna break the glass, right? But, you have iron workers and you have other trades out there running grinders around glass, and it's not just breaking it. I mean, if you're grinding and your slag is going against that glass, you'll actually melt it. It'll look like speckles all over the
Yeah.
glass, and that piece is as good as broke. And replacing one, like you said, on a 8 or 10-story building
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
at the top is
Not
a
easy.
problem.
It's not fun.
So you'll have more than one trade working?
More than one trade?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Great question. So,
How many do y'all have is basically what I'm asking. Like,
how many trades working
Like in your company? Yeah.
in our company?
Okay, so,
Like if y'all on a job site, how many trades do y'all have out there working?
okay, that's a good question, depending on what sequence of the project we're in. As we're coming out of the ground, like this particular project that's out here, coming out of the ground, you're gonna have your dirt work guy, you'll have a subcontractor that'll do your earth work, and a lot of times he'll go ahead and put your storm drainage in. So that's all catching all the water runoff, right? All your manholes and drainage pipes, and then you got your concrete guy next most of the time. The concrete guy comes in, puts his foundation in, gets his slab in, and then it's ready for it comes in, gets his foundations in, then it's ready for your plumber and your electrician, and anything that's gotta go in the dirt to be placed, right? So then you start adding on your electrician, your plumber, anything that needs to be buried underneath that slab. Get those guys in, get your slab poured. So then we're gonna get everything under the slab, and we're gonna pour a concrete slab, and then your steel frame starts going. And occasionally, like this building, we'll have some CMU walls, some masonry walls that we can either get in front of the steel, or some of it needs to go in on the gym in particular. I think you've got a couple low bearing walls that hold some pieces of that steel frame. So you gotta sequence through all that. You gotta dig into that set of documents and drawings, and that's what the field side does also, is put that schedule together and schedule all those trades, and then we stand out here, or we manage that site to make sure each domino's falling. Because if somebody doesn't complete their work under the slab, and the slab gets placed, it has to come back out to put that material under it. Same thing, like the gym, when we walk out the gym in a minute, we're laying block walls. Well, the reason we're doing that without steel right now is because those block walls will lay up and actually hold different pieces of that steel frame. So you've got to get that in your head, what has to be there first, and then what has to go next. So it's a lot of who goes in front of you and who's going behind you. Like you ask about the window systems, glass is not the funnest component. It's got challenges, but there again, we're hiring a trade, right? We're hiring a glass guy, a glazer, and he's responsible for his window frame. And then he's touching brick on this side, right?
Yeah.
He don't care what the brick guy does. He's worried about his window system.
Yeah.
So we fill in that gap. We marry all the materials together, and then we manage putting all the components in correctly. We're looking at the whole building, we're managing these trades that are professional glazers or professional masons, plumbers, electricians, and we're marrying them all together where we're doing a whole building instead of just a part of it like our different subcontractors are.
Devin, we still have time, or are we?
Yeah, if y'all want a couple more, I mean, it's just about time to head to let the ones that are not going on the construction site tour. Y'all have perked a lot of interest, I will tell you that, because I've got a lot of seniors, and so I'm like, oh, this is for construction and building students, and so, that are completers and finishing the program. But, yeah, if y'all want to take a couple more questions, anybody
Yeah.
have any questions, and then we're getting ready to transition to the, next group that's going to go on the site tour.
Go ahead.
Who's Clark?
Who is Clark? So,
I
let's
just,
see
like,
here.
that's
Okay.
literally the first thing I wanted to ask as soon as I walked in. Because I
Yeah.
noticed neither one of you are named Clark.
Yeah, right. So there he is,
Up there.
in all his glory.
Which top one?
William
Top
Clark.
right or left?
Top left. Top left. Well,
Yeah, corporate.
right, I guess.
On the top.
All right.
Yeah, that's William Clark. His dad was Bill Clark. Long story. Used to be part of CDI. CDI was Clark Dillard Incorporated. Clark got away from CDI and started Clark Contractors. CDI still around, but that's where Clark history kind of came from.
What's your biggest project?
Biggest project. Good question. We're about to start. Well,
I know that it's McClellan.
yeah.
McClellan High School is the biggest one. The one
Oh,
that we
the
showed
Little
right
Rock?
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the next biggest, it's pretty short-lived.
Yeah.
We were proud of that one, and then our Dallas bunch, our Dallas office comes in with 148,
Last I heard was 105 or something.
105,
Yeah.
105.
We're not involved in it, but we
Yeah,
know about it.
it's in Dallas.
So what would y'all consider the smallest?
Well, we do them all sizes. We're on a bunch of job order contracts, is what they call it, at various universities, where they'll call us and say, hey, we got this $10,000 project, you need to come move a wall. We basically have a pre-arranged contract where they can call us at a moment's notice, and we have to show up on the job site, basically execute the work within a certain period of time, and those can range, like I said, $10,000 to
So
really 750 is the upper tier of it, but at any time, we got maybe 6 of those going on actively right now, probably.
Yeah, we keep 4 to 6 of those going,
Yeah,
and that's something that we're trying to grow, actually.
yeah, right. It's a good question.
It looks futuristic.
It does, yeah.
Who designed it?
Cromwell Architects Engineers designed it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What is the longest project you two have worked on?
UMS, me, yeah. UMS was probably a 3.5 year project.
And how much did we end up doing there?
We did, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, because it's like my favorite, you know. We put 1 million heated and cooled square feet out of UMS at that campus. We did a new patient tower, which had 250 something new patient rooms. Had, I think, 8 ORs, a new emergency department. And then we did a psychiatric research institute that Byron was in charge of, which was an incredibly challenging project too. All sat on top of a post-tension parking deck.
1,000 cars?
Yeah, 1,000 cars. I think that's right. Yeah. And then we later got hired to do a cancer research and treatment facility called the Winthrop P. Rockefeller Cancer Institute up there. So busy. Go ahead.
Do y'all do residential work?
No,
I didn't think so.
no, we do not. Go ahead.
Do you do like upkeep stuff or do you just build?
No, we don't do any maintenance, is what I would call what I think what you're asking about. But if there are deferred maintenance things, sometimes we're actually doing a job right now for UMS that they call deferred maintenance. Basically, they said, hey, this chiller has been on the replacement list for 10 years. Come and replace this chiller now. Or come and replace this air handling unit. So we do that kind of stuff, replacements, but not like routine maintenance. We'll do something in the first year warranty that are warranty related things, but not maintenance.
What about restoration?
Yeah, we'll do restoration projects, sure. which are becoming more popular, once construction costs got, a little exorbitant for some owners, they started looking to repurpose buildings, so, good question.
Something you're seeing a lot of.
Yeah.
Those docks on those steps, are those tunnels? Or
They're
are
actually
they just?
cubbies,
Yeah, little cubbies.
They
little
are?
study cubby.
Okay. I was just wondering.
I don't get it. Architects seem to like it. I guess they think students get in there and study, but I don't know if they do or not. Oh,
Yes, sir.
sorry.
How many schools have y'all built in total?
How many schools have we built?
In total?
Good question.
We
Well,
should have looked
I'll
at
defer to Byron on that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should have looked at that. I don't know what the number would be exactly.
At least two.
Yeah, right. That's true. That's true. That's
I was gonna
sure.
say-
As far as new schools, I don't know, we've done a lot of renovations, James Mitchell School, Des Arc High School.
Yeah.
We've been involved with a lot of work inside the schools.
Academy.
Brand new
And-
ones, I'm not-
In South Arkansas too, we did DeQueen
Hamburg.
and Hamburg, right? And did one at Hamburg's close to you guys, relatively. Then did one in Texarkana, Arkansas. So I'd say 15-ish in the last 7 or 8 years, I would guess.
Have you ever traveled out of the country?
Travel around the country, is that what your question was?
Like out of the country, like out of America?
No.
No, we did not.
No, we don't. Like right now, we've got projects going in the Dallas, the DFW area, Dallas, Fort Worth, and then we have some other work going. We done a project, just complete a project in Missouri. Then we got some stuff we can start in Mississippi. Finished a project or started the next phase of a project in Ruston,
Louisiana.
Louisiana. So, we're all pretty much, we have been out, we hit the road and done a lot of hospitality work several years back. And you know what that does is you
Thought I
get
just saw
too
you over there.
spread out. You get too spread out all over the country, and sometimes you need to keep your volume up. But when the market started settling down after 2007,
Yeah.
2009,
Mm-hmm.
10, 11, when that started settling down, we kept stuff closer to home because we want it close enough where we can manage it well. So-
More predictable outcomes
Yeah.
when you can control your
That's right.
your subs a little better. I'll put this back up to show you. I wish I had a map, but it'd be more clear then. Our headquarters in Little Rock, I know we said this earlier, Northwest Arkansas office, and then a Dallas DFW office. So if you were to draw, circles around both of those hubs, maybe a 120-mile circle around those 3 hubs, that's kind of our target area, so to speak, if that makes sense.
So like, did y'all help do some work at UAM?
Yeah,
Did.
sure
Right.
did.
Yeah.
Did a student
The one in
success
Monticello,
center there.
Hall,
Mhm.
Horsefall Hall, we just, on the 21st next week, we'll start a little renovation in the ag building.
I also did some work at Drew Memorial.
Yep.
I was asking, I saw the picture right there.
Yep.
Oh, that is you, Ian. That's right.
Student
Yeah,
success.
good. That's good. If I had a hat, I'd give it to you.
Yep.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, that was awesome. You should be in our marketing department.
All right, have you got his name?
I will. I'll put it in.
Yeah, it's great. It's
Any
good.
other questions?
These are good. Yeah, I like
The
this.
socks.
What's that?
Oh, the socks.
Oh.
I like your socks.
Oh, thank you.
What are those like? You just have, did you like kind of like had a, did you kind of rotate a little bit?
I really don't know. My mom bought them for me because they say just open on the side.
I gotta harass him later for saying that.
Can we get that on video?
Cause like I noticed like everybody had they had their pants over their shoes except for you and him, and then I saw the socks.
Yeah.
Moms are great, okay?
Yeah.
Do not talk about the moms.
Hey,
I get that
if your
a lot.
mama gives you a pair of socks, you wear them.
And we didn't mention this in the last group, but you ladies, we have women in our construction side of our company too. So I want to make we didn't really focus on that earlier, but I know you guys hadn't had. I keep calling you guys, 2 gals or whatever. If y'all have any questions, please ask us because we do have women in our construction. We have a project manager or project administrator right now that's a female.
So like, this is one for all 4 of you, but like, what's the easiest and the hardest part of your job?
Dang it, man, that's a good one. I'd say the hardest part, I alluded to it earlier, but, and again, I don't want to get all like emotional or something, but, you know, not letting my brothers here down, you know? I mean, these guys on a job site, their job, we talked about it earlier, is incredibly hard, you know? I feel like my job is to give them the tools and the resources they need to execute their job. You know, being on a job site, I always say it's like being, you know, on a ship in the ocean or something. It's like you kind of feel like you're all by yourself, you know. So I need to make sure that he has everything he needs to be successful. And I feel like if he calls me one day and he says, "Man, I don't have this," I feel like I failed him, you know. So I take it personally. I really do.
That's good.
That's the hardest part of my job. Well, the other part is managing owners' expectations sometimes. That's another tough one. You know, sometimes documents will tell you to do one thing, but then the owner will come out there and say, "Well, I thought this wall was supposed to be over here," you know, and it's like, no, it shows it right here, you know. Sometimes that's hard to manage, you know, just someone's own thought. One time we were building an OR, a funny story. This
I was just about to ask what's the funniest moment y'all had.
yeah, this might be it. This brain surgeon, literally brain surgeon, you know, and we're just a bunch of construction dudes, you know. Where he comes out there and he just walked around, he looked for a second, and he said, "It's too small." And I was like, "Okay, who are you?" You know, I don't know who this guy is, you know. And he walks off, and I may be getting the story a little wrong because Byron and I were on site. And then about 20 minutes later, our phone rings, and they said, "Stop building right now." And it's like, beg your pardon? It's like, you know, one thing you don't tell construction companies is stop working. I mean, it's like, it's just unheard of.
At least without a reason.
Let me back up just a minute. This isn't an OR.
Yeah.
There is brain surgery going on the other side of this wall.
Mm-hmm.
We have a tunnel to come through the corridors to get into our work area, which is about the size of this room here.
So try and get done as
So
quickly
this
as
is
possible.
in the middle of a sterile environment, the middle of the heart of the hospital, right?
Oh.
And we get the phone call that says stop. I mean,
Yeah.
you just got everything in there. You're just getting going good. An operating room is a very complex place. You know, there's a lot of fine detail. There's a lot of specific materials. There's a certain way of doing things. So there's 90 days of planning to do 10 days of work, right? And we're working. And then
Yeah. And stuff. And we literally, long story short, we tore it down and built it bigger because that guy. The other funny part of the story later is we weren't done with the job, and then he went to another hospital. So I was like,
yeah.
I don't
We
feel-
were
I
ready to
don't
hand
feel
the
that
keys
good.
over.
yeah, he's
We were
gone.
ready to hand the keys over, and that surgeon left.
Yeah, crazy.
Anyway.
The easiest part, man, I don't know. I'd say, you know, what's the old cliche about, you know, you don't work a day of your life if you enjoy what you're doing or whatever. It's like, I really sincerely enjoy doing it. Walking this job site is my favorite part of what I do. So, I don't know, what do you think?
No, I mean, we've got, you know, Stephen said it before, we're very blessed at Clark Contractors to have employees in the hands that we do, because we've been together that amount of time, 20 plus years. That 22 years is the average. I've been working for 22 years. So the average that I've been working is the average that management team has been together.
Mm-hmm. Youngest.
You know?
Yeah.
So we've got a tight-knit group that we can lean on, and I don't know, I think that's probably the easiest thing for me, is knowing that I can depend on every one of our team members to do their part. And other than that, it's difficult, but it makes it a lot easier, everybody having the same goal and working together and being a team.
What about you ladies? Y'all have any questions? Any thoughts about construction? Positive or negative
We had a young lady
thoughts?
ask a really good question earlier.
Yeah.
What was the question?
She asked about supply chain and cost. It was really good. Go ahead.
If I were to start working for your company, what kind of long-term benefits would I
Good one.
Good question.
we do a good job, I think, in benefits. We offer, you know, the typical deal, 401k, you know, of course. We offer the health savings plan. Actually, you might touch on the health savings because I don't even participate in it because I do my wife's health savings plan.
I mean, you've got a health insurance, you know, we do health insurance, dental, vision. The company pays the life insurance plan, you know, for a full-time salary employee. May even do, I think we even do an hourly employee. If it's a full-time hourly employee, we carry a life insurance policy. Long-term disability, we've got a very good benefit package. 401k, retirement plan.
They match 1 for 1 up to 5%.
Yep.
So, go ahead.
That supply chain thing,
Oh yeah.
how's that?
Man, it's tough.
So her question was, how do we react or what do we do? You know, the price of materials are going up, right?
Right.
So when we write a contract, what do we do about materials going up? How do we keep the project cost from going up? You know, the length of the job, and how we do that, Steve?
Yeah, so when we first get a set of documents, you know, eventually when we get, you know, I'm a paper guy, so I like to give illustrations with paper. When we first get the first blush of a job, say this one, it's probably a floor plan and maybe a couple elevations. Set of documents are like this thick, you know, it's like literally 2 or 3 sheets of paper when we do our first conceptual budget. By the time it gets to final CDs, 100% CDs, what we call construction documents, it goes through a design development process. It goes through an SD package and a DD pack, 50% CD, you know, whatever. And that takes about 8 months to 12 months, sometimes depending on the size and the complexity of the job. But we cast a budget very early on during conceptual design. And, you know, we're tasked with, me being in control of the money part that Byron talked about earlier, tasked with trying to cast a budget that's going to be accurate a year later, you know, looking into the future, you know. And the way we do that is I do all my own quantity takeoffs myself, but I'm tapping the trade markets, you know, the plumbers, the steel erectors, the electricians, you know, concrete people, every single trade about what they're forecasting in the commodity world and really in the labor workforce. Basically asking that electrician, hey, you know, we got so many light fixtures here and, you know, this kind of generator and this kind of automatic transfer switch. What do you think that thing's going to cost 12 months from now? And we predict that. I mean, he gives me most of the ammo to predict that cost early on. So that way when it gets to final pricing, CD time, when we're doing final pricing, what we call GMP, a guaranteed maximum price, that's when we actually bid it out to the subs, and the subs give us competitive numbers, and we write contracts to them, and then the subs are locked in, then therefore, for their final contract amount. But that's not until the end of the design. But then once they're locked in, they have to procure the materials as early as possible to make sure that they get their materials locked in with their suppliers. So it's kind of a interesting web of, you know, various vendors and suppliers and activities. A lot of moving pieces, you know, really. It's a pretty complex system. But again, that's one of those things that doesn't just happen. You know, it happens from early and often and very specific communications, effective communications, to be able to accurately predict that. And sometimes we miss it. You know, we talked about this earlier. You know, what's inflation typically? 3% every year, you know, most people say. That's what I normally predict. This last, what I call the COVID inflation, on average, has been about 20 to 25%. I mean, that's a massive number, you know. We were talking about earlier, a $100 million project. You know, what kind of hit is that on a $100 million project? You know, it's huge. And then especially a commodity-heavy project, really dense project, vis-a-vis a hospital or something that has lots of copper, lots of med gas, lots of plumbing, you know, lots of electrical. It can be more than that. So anyways, I think that answers it.
All right, so any more questions?
Just one
Mike
more.
can take one more.
Who makes more, you or your wife?
You know, I'm proud of to tell you, my wife makes more than I do. My wife's a banker, and she actually makes a little bit more than I
You
do.
know, bankers, they just print the money.
Right.
Is she on the loan side, or is she?
She's actually on the operations side. She oversees all their retail branches. Yeah.
So, we've got cards and information, and you guys have been getting my emails and everything, so if you have any other questions, I can give you contact information. They have given me permission to give that to you guys. So if you are interested in anything about Clark Contractors, that company, or different things, I mean, you can reach out to them. Anyone else that is interested, y'all can contact me, and then I can get you in touch with it. So, because I know we're being live streamed, and this is a school-wide event right now. So with that, I just want to thank Mr. Cornish and Ms. Gathan for giving us this opportunity, because without them, we weren't able to put this together. It took all three of us, including, we talked to the construction site superintendent, Mr. Steve and Mr. Lane here. And so it's taken a coordination for all of us to kind of get this together, and they were so willing to come down here to just give y'all a different perspective on different jobs. And that's what CBEC's all about, but that's what we're trying to do here at Ward. So thank y'all for coming and being so good.
Yeah.
right.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. All right, if you are a welding construction student, the bus is back behind the school in the loading area. You are
Questions,
now
ma'am?
moving to the actual-
We're thinking about it before, huh?
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I wanted to ask the question. I saved it for last.
We coming back to you, ready?
Oh, no. I'm just following Devin.
Okay, yeah, now, if y'all need to go to the restroom, take like a quick break, we're a little bit over time, but they are, I forgot to tell y'all, like, I should have stopped it probably 10 minutes ago, because the bus has been back there waiting, but
Oh.
that's okay. Helen? There is restroom right down here, and I'm gonna go, I have no service.